So you ready for this? Yeah, you sure? Lifting it up. A year to grow, 45 minutes to cut off. I think there's more hair on the floor than there's on my head, to be honest, mate. All right, guys, welcome back to the Regal Gentleman YouTube channel at the Regal Gentleman Studio. Today we've got Ahnaf in the chair. How are you, mate? You good? So what are we doing? What's the plan?
So I want to completely change my look. I want to get much shorter hair, maybe really short sides because I don't like it sticking out too much.
Okay.
Maybe some length from the top and like a sort of like curly fringe.
Like a what, sorry?
A curly fringe on like.
Okay, like up or down? What are you thinking on the fringe?
Down.
Down? Oh, right, okay, yeah, sure. Can I just take this bobble out at the back, yeah? So look at the length. Okay, so we've got an awful lot of length. Are you sure you want to lose all this, yeah? Okie dokie. So you want your fringe to come down. Do you want it to be quite natural, just sitting kind of quite natural on the front? Yeah, so like loads of texture in it, so it's just forward. Okay. Be quite nice though, because you've got that wave in here as well. You probably will have a bit of a curl on the fringe. So I think it'll sit quite nicely actually. So can you just pull your mask down a second so I can see? Okay, you've got a solid jawline, man. Okay, cool. Okay, sound, yeah. Yeah, it's gonna work well. I'm just thinking always when you wear a fringe, if you've got, say, a really wide face or a very long face, it can sometimes work quite well, but you've got that kind of, you've just got like say just like the oval, maybe? It's kind of a bit, maybe, yeah. Slightly square, good jawline. Yeah, it'll work. If you just hold it in like that, that'll work quite nicely. Yeah, it's just sometimes if you've got maybe a more narrow face or something, if you wear a fringe, you can sometimes just kind of close the face up a little bit. So I think if you've got the option to wear your fringe off your face or down, that might be better because I mean, I don't know about yourself, do you find this really low maintenance at the moment, this long hair, or is it quite high maintenance for you? Quite high. I think it's because of your hair texture, to be honest, yeah. But usually when you just pop it up in a bun, it can be quite easy and quite low maintenance. But I want to try and make it low maintenance for you, you know what I mean? So you just get up in the morning, you've got a little bit of texture at the front, a little bit of length, put in a bit of powder, a bit of clay, even just a bit of salt spray, you know, anything, just minimal product, and just kind of do this and let it fall, or scrunch it and let it fall down. Is that all right, yeah? And back and sides, how short are you thinking of going?
I'm not sure, but I want it, I don't want it too long, I want it really short.
Okay.
But I don't want too much skin showing.
Okay, that's cool, yeah. So just before scalp exposure then? Yeah, okay. I'm gonna say, I reckon about maybe a 2 in length will be good for you. Normally anything for like a 2 or a 1.5 is where you start to see scalp exposure. Yeah. All right, again on the neckline as well, we just do a natural taper. So you see a little bit of exposure down the bottom, but you need to kind of taper it in anyway, just to make it look cleaner and fresher. All right, you ready for this? Yeah. Cool, let's get started then, mate. Cool, so to start, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this up into a horseshoe section, okay? Get the back and sides, let's focus on the back and sides first, and then we can just connect the top in, cut it nice and short. But again, working in stages is really good. When you're working on longer hair, if you give yourself like clean lines, clean sections to work with, and also working in the stages, maybe if you want to start on the top, you can work onto the back and sides, but I always just find, if you work on a horseshoe first and you focus on the back and sides, especially something this long, the shape is starting to sit for you. Then all you do at the top is connect the length in. So I just find it a bit easier to do it this way. On the recession point, down, as you can see, all this length coming in now. Dropping it underneath the crown, as we always do, just to preserve the crown. Recession point, matching it up to the back, like so. There we go. As you're holding it up, just check the horseshoe sitting right. Yeah, that's perfect. Just get that out of the way. Like so. There we go. So you ready for this? Yeah, you sure? So I'm going to use these Osters, heavy duty ones, just to remove all the weight and the bulk. Now it's at the horseshoe now. So I'm working again, don't forget we're going down to number 2 here, so I'm going to take this fairly short, okay? So when I go down to this on the comb, flat to the scalp, it's a number 2, but I'm going to go a little bit longer than that, just because I want to put the number 2 in there as well. So, start from the sideburns, lifting it up, and take a more long section. Now I want to pull out here so I've got length at the corner, okay? So I'm still going to treat it as though I was blending in the number 2, so I'm still leaving some length through here, okay? I still allow myself to connect the top in, whatever length we go to. Isn't this such a shame though? Like we said this yesterday to a couple of clients who went quite short. A year to grow, 45 minutes to cut off. It's horrible, isn't it? Eh? I said it's a bit like the gym, isn't it? You know, it takes months to get a six pack and about 2 weeks to lose one. So. You can see I'm just bulk removing. I'm making it the other way now. As long as I keep some length through that corner, we're good. Right, so I'm going to start on a number 3, okay? Just move all this hair over. I think there's more hair on the floor than there's on my head, to be honest, mate. The length for that. There we go. So I'm going to start with the number 3, just because, again, scalp exposure, we don't want scalp exposure, so I'm going to start with a 3, lower the lever down, 3.5 to start with first, and then I'm going to work down to my number 2. So a very soft blend, okay? Nothing too harsh. Number 3. Working up to here. Now the only problem is when you've had really long hair, especially with the curls, you see from the root it's almost created this wave. I'm gonna have to blow dry that out because that won't be like that. If that was washed now, or maybe even from a short haircut, that wouldn't be as curly as it is. It's just from having the long hair. So I'm just gonna put my 3.5 in. And as we can see, nice and thick on the back and sides for Ahnaf, but obviously I want to just be quite careful how a number, say 2 would look. So I'm starting with a 3.5. Just again, I have the whole element of prevention over the cure is always works for me. So sometimes, you know, the hair can be so thick that, you know, as you get closer to, you know, shorter and shorter and shorter, the base isn't that thick. So like, you know, that was ridiculous what I just took off then. But as you can see, if you come out in the natural light here, or the light from our like there, you see that it's not scalp exposure, but you can still see through it a little bit, right? But it's not like, you wouldn't notice that as scalp exposure. It doesn't look like the, you know, scalp exposure like you'd see on a 1 or a 1.5. It still is dark from different angles, but if that was a 1.5, that would show a lot of scalp. That would almost look like probably a 1 or a 0.5 potentially on Ahnaf's hair. So that's why it's always good to start off longer. There we go. I'm going to move down to my number 3 now, close guard. Use my small round brush. I'm going to dry this hair, so take away this curl. Try and take that curl off as much as I can. So onto my 2.5 now, up into my 3. But that's a good length because I think if we did go shorter than the 2, you'd start to see scalp exposure, especially on the sides there. There we go. Finally into our 2 now. Keeping that nice and low. Let's use that comb. Let the hair fall into that number 2. Let that cut truest form like that. Now I'm going to work a nice taper into the neckline now. Just moving on to my 1.5. 1 guard on, leave it down to make it a 1.5. I'm just going to do it very low down. Okay, so very low down. I'm trying to minimise the scalp exposure as much as possible. As you can see, when you go to that 1.5, it does start to go much shorter. We're just graduating it down to the bottom. So just a nice little fade down the very neckline. Now into halfway on the lever. Now close guard. And 0.5, just around the very bottom of the hairline. And then close guard to 0 and just flick off at the very, very bottom. There we go. So blend this in, starting up, elevation. Now if you look at the back here of Ahnaf's head, it is quite flat all the way down. So I want to leave a little bit of weight. As you can see from about here, you can see, lift his head up like that. See how much the divot's in there. So you want to kind of blend out on that point there, to that angle. Okay. So as you can see, more length at the top, getting closer into the number 3. Okay. Elevation to maintain length. And then just get lower and lower down, like so. Just going flat against the scalp, just goes to the number 2 in length on the clip on the comb. You can see that now if you look at the back. By leaving a little bit of weight, it doesn't look as flat now. Get a little bit of weight through there. You pull it out a little bit, see? Falls nicely into that shape there. Into the elevation. Maintain and build up length the higher up. Halfway there, mate. How's it looking? Yeah, you're happy with that, mate? Yeah. Is that a real big relief? So just on the sideburns, I'm going to go down to a 1.5, just on the very bottom here, because the sideburns are so much thicker on most people anyway. So I want to go on a 1.5 there, just to kind of keep the symmetry on the side and keep the same effect as well. But only literally just on the sideburns and up, okay? It's just through here and then flicking off like that. Makes it look a bit neater as well. There we go, like that. I'm going to detail around the edges, the hairline, temple and sideburns in here. Again, because we're having something quite loose on the finish, I'm just going to strengthen up his temple, okay? So I'm not cutting too much into it. I'm just going to try and strengthen up, give a bit of symmetry both sides. I think it'll be a nice contrast, like that quite messy fringe, along with quite sort of sharp edges. I think if I was to take it to like here, for example, then you cut them right into the hairline. But I'm just strengthening it up. Again, it's much easier to match both sides as well when you just strengthen it up around the hairline. So I'll just finish off around the ears and then I'll blend the sideburns out. And just strengthen it. I'm just going to blend these out into nothing, so just start from the bottom, 0.5, teeth facing towards the client. Let's get a bit shorter. I think that's quite nice. Nice and low maintenance. No harsh lines, just blends out into nothing. Temple, sharpen it off, and then just start to taper in around the ears, like so. 0.5, teeth facing towards the client, makes it a bit longer. Down to 0. And just flick up and up. And I'm going to finish off around the neckline now. Again, keeping it as wide as I possibly can. Thing is, when you change the neckline, when you line out the hairline, you can really change the appearance of whether it's wide or narrow the neck. So if I'd have followed that in, imagine if I would have followed in the strongest point of Ahnaf's hairline now, it would literally come to a V. And just tidy up all the neck here. Just going to use my size 1 comb. I'm just going to taper the middle bit a bit more, just to make it all look the same really along the bottom. Right, onto the top now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer the fringe in first, and it's a good way to start. That's the main focus, and that was one of the things that Ahnaf spoke about first, was that he wants the fringe down, so I'm going to work on that first, okay? Now we need to look at the gap between the hairline and the fringe to the length that it will be, okay? So we can work out how short to take the back. It's probably a couple of inches, right, down to the middle of the eyes, just here, probably roughly here, about 2 inches. So that's the length we're going to have to work through at the back as well, okay? Up to the middle. Now you lean your head more forward for me. There we go. And then we can pull that and separate. Like so. Much easier doing it that way. What we do, layer the front. Following the hairline round. Don't even need clips, the hair's that long, it's quite nice, tucks behind his ear. Let's cut this fringe down now. So I'm going to cut this to where it would sit just along the eyebrows, because then that way it can fall up, it can scrunch a bit tighter, just gives them the options. It's not going to be a really mega short fringe. Pull this down. And don't forget we've got the curls in there, so we need to be aware that it's going to shrink. We don't want too much tension on it, so just enough that we can pull the hair down, okay? So I'm going to cut it to just above, maybe around the mask, about there. Nice and straight. I'll let go of that. See the way it pings up. But as I know, as it pings up, it sits just on the eyebrows. Then again, level with the mask at the nose. Like so. Not too much tension, look, I'm not holding it too hard, because I'm just going to spring back up. Just enough with my fingers that as I let go, it springs. I'm just going to work around as well, okay? This hairline's good. So I'll work around this way, like so. Because that sits really nice on the front. So again, the other side. Pull it down, again, not too hard, just a loose tension in there. Cut that straight from right to left. Turn the scissors around. Just going to cut that little corner off there. There we go. That all sits nice, just on the front. Okay, there we go. So that's the basis, right? That's the fringe length sorted. Now I'm just going to layer everything else in. Just cutting down to that length. Well, there's my guide just sitting through right there. Keep the section nice and small so you can see what you're doing. Bring that round, follow the guide from the right, cut all that length away, and then just take a section here, like that, and then just bring this down to match. Head back for me. There we go. What we'll do now, we'll wet it down. And we'll take a section right down the middle, let's call that a profile section, okay? One side, like that. And what this is going to do is going to blend the length down to the front. Pick that fringe up, okay? There, where the fringe layers onto it there, okay? So we don't want to cut it like this, because we want that to layer in, as you can see. We're layering that straight. but you just want to take some length off to the back, like so. Just lift it straight up. And that length we can take off there. We're still going to layer that in. Okay, like that, so as you let that go, it still sits nicely into the fringe. As you can see, it still keeps that weight in the fringe, like so. There we go. Take that length off. Last section, straight up. Because it is curls, don't want to point cut into this just not too much. Pull that up, the guide. Now bring that fringe straight up. There should be nothing to cut. There we go. Right. What we'll do now is connect the sides in. So we're going to do this horizontally, like so. So take a section with the round of the head, like that, away from the fringe. Push the back away. Bring this down to our blend point, like so. So what you'll see here, lift it up. We'll have our connection underneath there. We're just dropping this down a little bit just to maintain length through that corner there. Blend point, like so. Then we can bring section down on an angle into the recession points again. We don't want to take away that fringe. Just work on an angle downwards. Take off this length now. There we go. A bit higher up. Bring that away now, like so. There's the fringe. You just want to graduate that into the top, like so. We'll maintain that length. There we go, so that fringe is sitting really nice now. You can see a little bit of length, keeping it nice and full to the corners there as well. Pick it up. And there is our guide right there. There we go. There we go, guide again. Turn right up. Like so, following your guides. Now as we get down here, we'll start to pull this fringe up and no length should start to come off this now as we pull it up. See, very minimal length. Take that in, and just dropping it down to the blend point. Down into the recession. I'm not looking to take anything off the fringe. As you can see, that isn't the fringe, see? All that length is just through the top, through that corner. Pull it down, if you pull it through, lift it up, there's my guide underneath. And just do another cross check just for any longer hairs that you may have missed. There we go, another one. A bit higher up now, there's my guide underneath. On this angle, you've got a guide from the top bit there. And you're just working straight down and over directing that fringe out. All that weight is blended in through the sides. We've got a nice bit of weight at the front as well. So all we need to do now is layer this crown in. There we go, so there's my guide straight through, you can see through it. Like so. I'm doing it in layers because the hair is still very long. If it wasn't that long, I'd probably just take it all in one go. And we'll match up to the left hand side as well. There we go. And just work across like that, one point to the other. There's a short guide there and a short guide on the right. So I'm just going to work in to the hair itself, okay, with the scissor. So a bit like a razor, but I'm keeping everything a bit more blunter. And just picking through it just to help thin out them curls and spiral out a little bit more as well. But I'm not doing too much so it won't look chunky or anything. It won't go out too noticeable either. So I'm just picking in little bits there like that, so that just helps you scrunch the curl a bit more. Just going to slide through to really help bring out that curl as well. Just slice into little bits. Open and close the scissor, okay, across the centre, because he's wore it in a centre part for so long. When he came in, it was like a natural centre part. I want to break up that direction, like so. So I'm just working in through the hair, through that blend, just forcing that hair to sit forwards. You see, working the hair, the scissor through. It's not pulling the hair too much, not causing discomfort. If I was to slice through, it would probably really hurt. How's that look for you, mate?
Yeah.
Happy, yeah? Sweet man. Looks so good, so different.
Yeah, exactly what I wanted.
Brilliant, it's good to hear. There we go. Medium speed, high heat. I'm just going to dry this off. And that's it, bud. Don't need anything else in this at all. It's all cut into the shape. It's nice, you just have to just flatten it down a little bit. And that's how it sits. Happy? Looks wicked, mate. Thank you very much, man.